Hi guys, my name is Naveed Shan with NSTS and NaveedShan.com. Today we're going to be going over my favorite deadlift progressions that I use for clients. So the first exercise we're going to go with is my bench hip hinge. So what I do is, with most clients, they just don't understand the hip hinge pattern when they're deadlifting. They just simply pick up the weight. So their back might be out of a neutral position. They might have a flexed thoracic vertebrae, even worse, flexed lower back lumbar vertebrae. So what this teaches is you how to really load the hips and not squat the weight, not just pick up the weight, risking low back injury. So what I like doing is I first start off with my clients putting their feet directly under the bench. So it's to the point that my shins are vertical and my shins and my knees are touching the bench. You might be a little bit taller, so it might just be your shins. Okay? So the next movement I do is I pick up the plate, and I usually like starting off with 25 pounds, sometimes lighter for smaller clients and my younger clients, but usually about 25, 45 pounds is good. I'm going to glue the plate to my chest. I'm going to keep a neutral spinal position. So I'm not hyperextended and I'm not slouching over. Just a nice neutral position, whatever my spine likes being in. So I'm going to start in this position. My plate is glued to my chest. I'm going to come down, okay? So my shins are staying vertical, and I'm putting I can feel all the tension on my glutes and my hamstrings. So if I were to do this wrong, if I were to squat the weight, and it wouldn't be a hip hinge, I could feel my knees flex forward, and the bench would move, which is what we want. Okay, the next exercise we're going to do is a kettlebell sumo deadlift. So this is the next progression I use, and I really like this one because the handle's higher, so it's not as difficult to get down to the weight. So what I start by doing is straddling the kettlebell. So I put it right in the center, in between my feet, so it's right at the center of my body. So from this position, I do the same exact thing I did with the bench hip hinge. I'm going to bring my hips back, keeping my shins vertical, keeping a neutral spinal position. The big difference is if you look at my shoulders, I'm shrugging back. So what this does is it activates my lats, and it keeps my back in a little bit safer position. So from here, I'm just going to pop up, shooting my hips forward, extending my hips tight, and squeezing my glutes. So once a client can do half their body weight at least pretty comfortably, we'll move on to another progression. So the one I typically use is a hex bar deadlift. So the hex bar deadlift is, again, from a higher starting position, and it's a little bit easier to get down to the position because the higher handle placement, but also because the way that the weight is loaded, it's a little bit easier to use leg drive and not so much lower back. So what we do is I start right in the center of the hex bar, feet again hip width apart. I'm going to drop down, keeping my shins vertical, grab the handles, shrug back, stand up. Okay? So once a client gets that and they're comfortable with the hex bar and they can do a decent amount of weight, I usually move them on to a block pull. So the block pull is no different from a conventional deadlift. It's just from a higher starting position, so it's a lot easier to keep a neutral spine while you're pulling the weight. So if you have flexibility issues, mobility issues, this kind of takes that away. So you can get in a good deadlift position without risking a lower back injury because you can keep your lumbar spine in a neutral position. So it starts the same exact way, feet hip width apart. I'm going to descend on the bar, shins vertical. I'm bringing my hips back. I grab the bar, shrug back again, stand up. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my 4 top progressions for the deadlift. Give those a shot. Give it about 1 to 2 weeks per exercise, and you'll be on your way to a perfect deadlift. Thank you very much.